Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today I want to talk about something that I've been meaning to talk about for over a week, but just haven't gotten around to it. I want to talk about the continuing saga of CRS Firearms. If you're not familiar, CRS Firearms, or Matt Hoover, which is his real name, last year, he was charged by the federal government, basically, to put it in layman terms, for selling parts to turn ARs into fully automatic rifles. And he was convicted of that earlier this year. He was charged last year. They had the trial. He was actually convicted. Well, he's now been sentenced. He received a sentence of 5 years in prison for selling parts to turn AR-15s into machine guns. And I think this is a travesty. Not just because I think everyone should be able to have automatic rifles if they want them, because I don't see anywhere in the Constitution where it says the government gets to decide how effective the rifles we have can be. Not because of that. It's because of how they convicted him on this and what he was actually doing. Now, when you hear, someone is selling parts to make automatic rifles, you think they're actually selling parts, right? Or they're giving you something that you just drop in your gun and it's an automatic rifle. No, what they were doing is they were selling or transferring auto key cards, which is basically just a little metal card about the size of a business card that has the outline of a part you would need to make a fully automatic AR. Now, this is a part you can find the diagram for online. Anywhere you want to find it, it's easy to find. You just got to go on, type up the right words, and it shows up. And you could easily transfer that over to a piece of metal anytime you wanted to. All they did was, like I said, put the outline on a little metal card. You can't do anything with this card. You'd have to take this card, you'd have to cut out those pieces, shape those pieces properly, install those pieces properly, etc. So you still didn't have the means to make a machine gun just because they gave you, and I use machine gun in there in quotes, just because they gave you this card. They didn't give you anything you couldn't get for free anywhere you wanted it. All you'd have to have is a piece of sheet steel around and, a computer with a printer. And you could do the same thing. But they wanted to make an example out of them for transferring knowledge to people. Because if they were selling you the parts, that'd be one thing. I still wouldn't even be upset about that if they were doing it openly and not just for profit behind the scenes. Because as I have said before, I'm a big fan of civil disobedience when it comes to fighting unjust laws or unjust treatment. And I'm not a hypocrite. I don't think that's just okay for one side or the other. I think everyone has a right, if they feel that they are being treated unjustly by the government, to engage in open civil disobedience, which is what CRS Firearms was doing. They weren't hiding. I mean, it was pretty evident they were doing this. They were telling people they were doing it. And they were like, here's what we're doing. We're basically giving you knowledge that you can do this if you ever had to. So let's say, in a bad situation, let's say the government has collapsed, the dollar collapses, there's no rule of law anymore. Well, then you've got this little card that you can, hopefully, you have the skills to turn into a piece that you can use to make maybe your AR-15s more effective in protecting your property and your family in a lawless society. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not doing it illegally. You're not actually building automatic AR-15s. I wouldn't have a problem if you did, but you're not. Period. You just got the knowledge to do it. That's all that is knowledge. They're giving you knowledge. Knowledge you can find on the internet. That's like saying I should go to jail because I own stocks, rifle stocks, and I also own SBRs. Or pistols that aren't SBRs, I should say. That I own rifle pistols. That I could put those stocks on and they'd be SBRs and I wouldn't have a license for them or a tax stamp for them. And I should go to jail because of that. Because I clearly know how to turn that stock or turn that pistol into an SBR with that stock. I have that knowledge. I just don't do it because it's illegal. Or at least I don't do it and tell people. Like I always tell everybody, if you do something if you're wondering if your stuff is ATF compliant or NFA compliant, here's the best thing you can do. Just shut up. Don't announce to the world that, hey, I've got this thing that I think might be illegal. Just shut up. You don't ask for trouble. But like I said, I'm a big fan of civil disobedience, and I don't like this whole idea that if you have the knowledge to do something, that's the same as doing it. And that's what they basically convicted him on. That if you sell someone the knowledge to build a fully automatic AR, then you've basically gave them an automatic AR. And that's garbage. That's thought crime. They convicted this guy on thought crime. And I don't like that. Now, Matt Hoover and I are not friends. We probably wouldn't even agree on a lot of things. Some things we would, but a lot of things we wouldn't. But that doesn't mean I don't find this, like I said, repulsive. That the same government that is themselves selling fully automatic weapons to cartels in Mexico, illegally, trying to make guns look bad so that they can trickle back up into the United States and they go, look, they got these guns for America. They're doing that. They're providing cartels with weapons that are regularly used to kill children and innocent people. And then they want to convict American citizens of thought crimes. I don't think that's appropriate. I hope this goes to an appeal. I hope he's granted an appeal. And I hope that he wins on appeal. Or I hope it goes to the Supreme Court and they overturn this, because it's ridiculous. Like I said, this is that same thing as, what do they call it? Constructive intent or whatever it is, where just because you have the parts to do something, you same as doing it. That's like saying, well, because you've got brush guards on your car, that's the same as running people over on the sidewalk, because now your car's better at doing it. And you know how to do it. It's all that kind of reasoning. At what point do you stop convicting people of things that they know how to do? How far do you push that? They're already trying to push this whole thing that, it's illegal to have files to build rifles or lowers or whatever. Even though it's not illegal to build your own guns. You can build your own guns. That's a right you have as a citizen. If you can legally own a gun, you can make your own. You can manufacture your own. But they're trying to slowly make it to where you can't, because they want to make it to where it's illegal to have that knowledge, to have that ability, to have that file. What are they going to do eventually? Outlaw 3D printers? It's really hard to control what people do with their 3D printers. Even if they said, we're going to take all these files off the internet. All it would take is some creative guy that has a lower and an app on his phone that can create a 3D printer file for that. And boom, there it is again. And they can distribute it. So what's the government going to start doing? Charge every single person that has the ability to do something as if they just committed a crime? That's what they're doing here with CRS Firearms. He sold knowledge on how to do something that you're not supposed to do. And even if you didn't do it and he didn't do it, they're still charging him with giving you the ability to do it, even though you didn't do it. So that right there is thought crime in its purest form. And the government has put him in prison for 5 years for this. For selling a little key card with a little outline on it. I could have 100 of these in 5 minutes. I've got sheet metal out in my garage. I've got a printer. I could print 1,000 of these little key card things, these little pieces, transfer that onto the metal, and I've got the same thing he had. It would take me probably 20 minutes. And I'd have the exact same thing he gave people. And anybody out there can do the same thing. Are they going to come after me because, you printed it out, therefore that must mean you're going to break the law? No, it doesn't mean I'm going to break the law. That's like saying, you went and bought a bunch of high-capacity magazines and some body armor. You must be going to commit a crime. You're going to go murder a bunch of people. No, that doesn't mean that at all. But believe me, that's what they want to eventually say. They want to be able to say, hey, why would you buy 2 30-round magazines and body armor if you weren't going to go shoot up someplace? That's what they want. They want to be able to put you in prison anytime you even think of doing something wrong. Or they want to say you're thinking of doing something wrong because they can't know what you're thinking. If I went and bought 2 30-round mags and some body armor, I'd be thinking, hey, if things ever go bad and I got to defend my property or my family from other people who didn't prepare properly, I want to have these around. I'm not thinking I'm going to go shoot up a mall. That would be the farthest thing from my mind. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't go around killing people. And I love when they say, oh, if you guys want to kill people all the time, you just can't wait till you can start killing people. You just want to kill as many people as you want, and I'm like, I already kill as many people as I want because I don't want to kill anybody. So 0 is how many people I want to kill, and I already do that every day, as do most gun owners. So I hate that whole line of reasoning that just because you have certain things, you must be going to do bad things. And I don't like when they try to make an example out of someone who shares knowledge. Ooh, don't share knowledge. If you share knowledge, that's, like I said, as bad as doing the crime. Hate it. And I know I'm rambling in this, but this kind of thing gets me hot. So I just wanted to speak out. If you're not familiar with the story, look into it. CRS Firearms, like I said, charged and convicted and sentenced for selling gun parts, illegal gun parts, when all he was really doing is selling a piece of sheet steel with something printed on it that anybody could make in their own home, that the information already exists. It's not hard to do. To get to the stage he did, that's like 2% of the work of actually doing it. Actually cutting it out, shaping it properly, getting it to the right dimensions, installing it properly, and getting it to work. That's 98% of the work. So basically he gave you 2% of the potential to commit a crime, which I don't even think should be a crime. So without that, without there any crimes actually being committed, that 2%, which is just like I said, sharing the base information, is in no way harming anyone. And this is just the government furthering their agenda to where they want to be able to put you in jail if they can just say you thought about doing something wrong.